I guess I had a few stories, and I'm saving a few because I don't want to steal anybody's thunder. But when we were talking about this, one of the first things that came up was my Uncle Don took Jean and Maria and Dan and myself on a camping trip. And I don't know if you guys know Don was a scout leader. And so when I mentioned that, Dan was like, "What? That's a favorite memory?" And it was. We went over to a state park in Illinois, and it was just the five of us. But the first night it rained, and it was terrible. So we were in this old Boy Scout tent, and it rained, and it was pretty miserable. But the next day, we just had a ton of fun. I remember we went fishing, and you could see the fish in the lake. You just drop your pole in there, and they would just bite right on the hook. You didn't have to have bait or anything, and we were just pulling them up as we went. I remember we buried, I think it was you, Dan, in sand. So yeah, and I always think, this is the one thing I always think about at the end, was we had everything packed up, we were done, we had the tent rolled up, everything packed, and me and my brother were both Boy Scouts. So we kind of knew what was going on, and to this day I don't know I'm not sure if Don was what he was thinking or what he was doing, but we kept making sure we got everything, and me and G were like, we know what we're doing. Like, come on, Don, let's go. So we got down the road, and he's like, "Are you guys sure that we got everything?" And we're like, "Yeah, we're totally sure." He's like, "Well, because I left all of our silverware on the table back there." We're like, well, "Let's go back and get it." He's like, "No, that's the lesson I'm trying to teach you guys. You got to make sure that you bring everything." And now I look back on that day. Well, now that I'm older, I'm thinking, there's no way Gene would have let him leave the silverware there. So I don't know if he was just trying to teach his lesson if we actually left the silverware there or not. But it's a mystery. Only God knows. So, but I had a great time. That was a fun time with my cousins that I had. And then this is one about Ann, Marcia, and Ray. I can't remember why we went up there, but I'm just going to tell you, anytime that we ever had to go up to Minnesota, me and Gene, I'm sure Dan and Maria, we all just looked way forward to it. And we went up, and I don't know what occasion it was. I'm sure there was some sort of family thing going on. And we were all up there together, Jane's family, our family, and Ray's family. And we stayed at Ray's house. And I remember that we went hiking, and there was woods behind him. We went hiking, and that was the first time I ever got a tick. That came up today. But my favorite memory from that, first of all, sometimes looking back on these stories when you're older, I think to myself, we had, so all of Ray's boys, that was 3, all of the Howards, that was 4, at least 4, and me and Jean, so that's, how many ever, that's 9, 10 kids in their basement. And I'm sure we were rowdy. And for whatever reason, they let the older boys stay awake, and they were watching TV. And Ray and Marcia had HBO, and so they, of course, my mom or Jane probably kept coming down and making sure that us younger kids were asleep. Yeah, we were not asleep. And for whatever reason, the older boys were watching Psycho, or not Psycho. What was it? The one with, it was a horror film. What's the one with, The Shining is what it was. So we were all around the corner. We were not supposed to be watching this movie. And yeah, if you know anything about The Shining, it's kind of a bad movie for 7, 8, 9-year-old kids to be watching. But we did end up watching that whole movie. I don't know, I can't attest for Dan and Maria or Jean, but I know I watched the whole thing. I had a little bit of scars from it too, but it was a good time. And like I said, we always had a great time doing stuff like that. And then going through all of we have some family films that we're going to show. That's what the big projector over there is. Jane and Don had movies from when we were kids. Jeff, you guys are in there. Marcia, you're in there. A lot of stuff. And I'm just going to make a quick announcement too, because I want to do it up here before I forget it. If you guys watch those movies and you want anything from them, if you are like, hey, here's an example, is my brother's oldest son, Spencer. There's only probably a 10-second clip of his mom in there. She's passed away, she's gone. But I asked my mom, I said, I don't know that he has, any film or anything like that of his mom. Do you think it would be okay if I took that video clip of that and sent it to Spencer? She's like, oh yeah, he would absolutely love that. So if you guys see anything in there, or if you just say, you can just tell me, hey, can you find all the footage of me or my family and just, chop it up and send it as a video to me? I will do that for you guys. So if you guys are watching movies and you want to know any of that stuff, then you just let me know and I'll get that to you. So one of the things that was in there is with Aunt Barb, and I don't remember where this was, but there's some video of there that we're fishing at like a lake. And we're catching fish. But I remember for whatever reason, I fell in the lake, and I was traumatized of fishing for a long time, but I still love Aunt Barb and those guys taking us fishing. We always loved fishing. Do you remember that, Aunt Barb?
Yeah.
You fallen in?
It was by Montezuma. Maybe it was in Grinnell at the lake.
And I do remember one other time that me and Kevin went out to your place, and we it was like right when Michelle was, and I remember we went to a basketball game, one of Michelle's basketball games. Only if you guys have never seen 6-on-6 girls basketball, it was really fun to watch. And that was Iowa was one of the only places that still continued to have 6-on-6 basketball for girls. And if you guys don't know what that is they would have 3 girls on offense and defense, and then 3 girls on offense and defense on the other side, and those girls did not cross the half-court line. So, you would try to get your basket, and then the next team would, you only had 2 dribbles. So it was really fun to watch. So those are most of my stories. I have more stories, but I want to, I know there's a lot of other stories out there. And if anybody has one right now, you guys can come up. Looks like Mike's coming up.
Sanitize the mic.
So we're going to sanitize the microphone or whatever. But I'll just hang out up here for a few minutes if you guys want to think about some stuff.
When you went to Michelle's basketball game, was that a state tournament game?
No, I think it was just at home.
Yeah.
Okay. But they did go to state, didn't they?
But they lost.
Yeah, Michelle's team was really good. I mean, Michelle was a very good basketball player, so. And you want to tell a story?
Well, sure. I'll do it. A couple addendums here. So I'll be up here tomorrow on the hot seat. But my dad did have silverware. He definitely he left it back there, but we went back and got it a lot later. So that's a lesson that I learned and all the time. I almost said it today. Did we leave something up there? So everybody checks. But I remember that day real well because my dad was real adamant. You guys left something up there. You left something up there. I thought you were Boy Scouts, but it was a big lesson to learn. We all learned. Just something simple like that. And so I always, to this day, I still remember to go back. If we're in a hotel room, my wife knows, I go back and double check everything, make sure we didn't leave something. It was kind of funny. I stayed up and watched The Shining too, and I was scarred. But I remember what was on after The Shining too. Bill Cosby special was on after The Shining. I don't know if you guys remember that, but that was a lot of fun. We got to watch that too. Anyway, a couple of addendums. But I'll be up here, I'll share some more stories tomorrow. Next. Thank you.
I don't have a story.
But you just want the mic?
I don't really need a mic either. I don't have a story, but I'm Chrissy. But for the first 5 years I've been in the Howard family, I was Susie. I think I was Susie number 2. I think Chris was the original Susie. You were also a Susie too. So yay to all the Susies. I don't really have a story, but Dan and I are a blended family, and I just want to thank the Howards and the Holmes for unconditionally loving me and my daughter, and from day one. So, thank you.
Mary, tell your story.
I'll come tell one.
All right. I can just bring it to
She'll
you.
just bring it.
Okay, my story is about Ralph. I had never been around mentally challenged children. And when Michelle was real little, we put her on the couch at Grandpa and Grandma's house. And I told Steve, I says, he's gonna hurt my baby. And he says, oh no, he's gonna protect her. So I got a music thing and I turned it on for her. So Ralph went and got the harmonica and started singing and humming at the same time. So you can believe how well that sounded, the two things together. And then about that time, the Howard family came to see the new baby. And Ralph took his arm and pushed them all away. They could not get anywhere near that baby. So Steve says, I told you, he would be a protector. He would not hurt her. But the one that I'll probably break down a little bit talking about is one of my favorites. When Steve died and I came out of the mortuary, Ralph got out of the car. And as you all know, you never knew what Ralph was going to do. He came up to me, he gave me a hug. He says, it's okay. Stevie's in heaven with God and Grandma. That was it. Then he went back to the car. And when we went to the cemetery after the funeral mass, I myself didn't know how I was going to come out of it. And my dad had Michelle stay with my best friend's daughter, so she didn't go, which I was glad. And so at the time you're thinking, how is this going to end? And the priest says, well, how about if we sing a song? Because I think Steve would like it. So we started singing a song, and the words, the reigns of heaven, R-E-I-G-N-S of heaven. And Ralph goes, thunder, lightning. That was the end of the song. That was the end of the tears. And we left it like that. Everybody was laughing when we left. So then we're at the dinner. And everybody's, busy. There's relatives there for the Glowalkies and for the Heverlows and our friends and stuff. And all of a sudden, here comes Ralph with a plate full of food. And Angie goes, who filled his plate? And they said, Ralph did it himself. I mean, he had it up this high, and he ate every bit of it. But it was just the fact that she always did his plate, but he did it himself. And I thought of all the intelligent men that were there. This kid saved my heart that day, and I just thought it was so funny that he did his thunder lightning, and I never forgot that. And then with my second husband, Dave gave him a Frisbee. And Ralph loved that, but he never forgave me for bringing Nick with me, and Nick touched his toys. So I can't tell you what he would say to me. It wasn't nice, but he wasn't happy with me. And Jane and Sue corrected him that you cannot talk to her like that. But those are just a few of my stories. Thank you.
Thank you, Bart. Those who don't know Ralph, so Ralph was our uncle. He was a brother to my mom and Aunt Sue, Uncle Ray and Uncle Steve. But he had Down syndrome. He was born with Down syndrome. But he was a very, very important part of all of our lives.
And like I said, sometimes smarter than the smartest men that were there, that he could say the words. I mean, to stop and think. Don't cry. He's in heaven with God.
There are some pictures of Ralph on the refrigerator.
A lot of it in the movies too.
Oh, yeah.
I was especially impressed. I guess I never really knew it, but your mom and Jane. Mom and Jane, you could tell us, but it looked like Steve and Ralph had a pretty decent, like they were like best friends in some of these movies. Is that about right? Or? Especially like going out to California. Yeah, the ones when they were going out to California, they looked like they were really, got along pretty well. So, yeah.
And you might want to say how he was going to talk about it. I didn't know what he would have done. That was going to be
Yeah, he was in the car with your folks.
We don't need to talk about that.
That's
There were some rough times with Ralph too, but mostly happy memories.
At that time, he would go in the car. After that time, he didn't.
So that's one of the stories I'm going to tell if one of the other guys does not tell, is about the story about how we got Ralph up to Grandma's funeral. But I will save that in case one of the other gentlemen involved would like to tell that story.
I can tell you. I'll just tell one story about Ralph when he wouldn't get in cars and Jane and Don were going somewhere that they really, really had to go to, and Mom and Dad, I don't know were Mom and Dad dead? Oh, they were in Florida. Anyway, they brought Ralph over to my house, which he really did not want to come over to my house. And then Don had to sneak away, and then he was really, really mad that Don would leave him with me. But I lived far enough away that he could not figure out a way to get home. So I must have had him for like a week. And one day I just was tired and fell asleep. And when I woke up, there was somebody knocking on my door. And I answered the door, and it was the police. There was Ralph sitting in the car, big smile on his face. He thought he was just the best. Sitting in this police car looking so happy about being there. Well, and the policeman said he was walking up the highway and somebody called. And somehow we asked around, or Ralph directed him to my house. I'm surprised CPS wasn't called on me because I fell asleep and wasn't taking care of him, but that's the story with Ralph.
Michael. This is just a tidbit. You don't know who I am. I am the ex-wife of Ray. Anyway, Michael came up one summer. I'm not going to go into the details of why or how or who or whatever. So I worked, and my ex-husband at the time owned the bar. Michael wouldn't eat any vegetables or main meals or anything like that. So I just bought a big case of hamburger patties, put them in the freezer, and said to Michael, eat what you want. And I think I have to ask, did you eat anything else but hamburgers or cheeseburgers or breakfast, lunch, and dinner? Or they?
I can't remember anything from that.
You can't remember.
Tell us.
Yeah, well, I think he just ate cheeseburgers and hamburgers by the time he was there. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I
You
just
have to
don't know.
ask the sheriff.
I think we should tell the rest of them.
So yeah, that might be a question for Jim. Is Jim coming for sure or not, or we don't know?
Well, you'll have, I don't know nothing.
We don't know for sure, so maybe Jim can fill us in more on that story, possibly.
I can fill in the story. There's a lot more to that.
Would you like the microphone?
Remember, you don't remember.
They don't want you.
Mike's trying to get out of something here, but somebody's got some goods on him.
How old was Mike when you went there?
Okay.
Yeah, how old was he, Mark?
So, what did you say that Mike came up for the summer? How did you phrase that, Mom? That Mike came up for the summer? Okay, no, he didn't come up for the summer. Mike was sent up for the summer. This was not a willing trip. Mike didn't say, "Oh, this is great, I'm going to." So I think there was a phone call. I don't know. Where was Aunt Jane? Didn't you? somebody called my dad and said, all right, Mike's lost his mind. He needs to have some tough love. And of course, my dad is not here yet, but my dad, oh, Mom, tough love him, you know, send him. So Mike came up and, yeah, the hamburger patties, and yeah, he ate hamburger patties. That's not the story. Let me give you the story. Mike was he's a fun-loving guy, always laughing, but he's got a Mike side to him, and I'm sure everybody knows that you don't cross, and we lived right across the street from a country club at the time, and you know, we were sitting there, and yes, we did have HBO, I think illegally actually, but yeah, we watched it. Mike just stands up one night, and my mom and dad had gone to bed, and Mike's like, nah, I'm bored. And I'm like, you know, I didn't stop Mike. I was a little guy. I was like, Mike gonna beat me up. And so Mike just walks out the door. It's like, I don't know, after 10 or 11 o'clock at night, and he just disappears. And we're watching him out the window, like, where's he going? And he's like, there's nothing around our house. It's kind of out in the middle of nowhere. Mike decides that he climbs the fence and goes into the golf course. You remember this? Or are you gonna claim?
I don't know.
Oh, it gets worse. It gets worse. Somehow, somebody at the country club left the keys in a golf cart.
Oh my
Mike,
God.
you know, being the, you know, adventurous guy that he is, decides he's going out. There's no lights on the golf course, you know, or on the cart or the course, and he just revs it up and off he goes. So he's tooling around the golf course. Now, when you're on a golf course late at night, everybody lives on the golf course, people start calling like, what, I hear the golf cart, but I can't see anything going on. Anyway, somebody calls the cops. Cops come. Is this okay to tell this story?
Go ahead. I don't think the same one I was thinking.
Do you remember this, Mom? Oh, you're gonna remember it. It's gonna come to you in a second. So anyway, Mike then, he goes flying into a sand trap. The golf cart turns over. He's just laughing as the first policeman pulls up. Mike decides that, okay, I just was having fun. I'm gonna go home now. And the policeman says, no, you're not gonna go. He's like, come on out of that sand trap. And I wasn't there, but this is what the police said. It's a small town. We know the police. And Mike's like, no, why don't you come get me out of the sand trap? And then he's like, what? So, I don't know, fast forward, the wrestling match that went on after 3 more cop cars pulled up, 6 policemen. They finally got him out, got him into the back of the car, brought him downtown, called my dad. Now it's like, we're all wide-eyed, like, what is going on here? And my dad then is talking to the policeman, and he's like, yes, he's with our family, blah, blah, blah. And you could hear the cops like, well, are you gonna come get him? He's like, no, we're gonna leave him there tonight. So you did get left there tonight. And we're like, oh my God, like hardened criminal. You know, it's like, but nobody cared. It was a small town. My dad went and got you tomorrow, and then you were like, you were revered status at that point. You were telling everyone, my cousin Mike, 6 cops, you know, we played football with him, he couldn't, you know. So anyway, that was the, you know, remember? My mom can verify that part. She remembers that part.
We got a yes.
So I'm going to switch a story to myself because it just got brought up. So we pulled into town yesterday and we didn't have a plan. Maria and I were talking, but I just remembered the address on Roosevelt. So we found Roosevelt. It took us a while. My son Jackson was yelling at me because I'm apparently navigationally challenged. So then we pulled up and Mary's like, wait, that's the house right there. And I'm like, that's not the house. That's not the house. And then Jackson's like, no, it says M. Howard right there. He's like, that's not the house. And I'm like, oh, maybe it is the house. I was like, but the last time I was at that house, I was a little person, so I was like, everything looked really small to me. And there was the field that's right, or the yard, the big field to me at the time.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
So you guys used to play baseball there, you, Dave, you know, all the elites.
Remember there was a little house right there too.
Yes.
And that lady was real mean, you know, when she was
Yeah. We'll get to the mean, who's mean. So I'm sitting there and I'm a little kid and I'm watching and I'm like, you know, they wouldn't let me play. they're playing baseball. They wouldn't let me play. I'm like, you know, like tears running down my face. And my mom finally looks out the window like, Rich, my older brother, let him play. I'm like, no, he's too small. We're not gonna let him play. I'm just like, come on, let him play. And so then my mom's like, you let him play right now. So Dave and Mike and Rich, all right. And then my mom's like, at least let him run around the bases. And so she yelled out, and they're like, fine, run around the bases. I apparently was the happiest kid in the world, running around the bases all by myself, got to home, and Dave's like, all right, kid. You don't remember this? I'm scarred. This is therapy for me. I'm not this. Like, it was like, oh, that never happened. Anyway, that was my Roosevelt story. And my last story is I'm a VIP. You can ask me. I'm a very important person. So let me tell you why. Everybody's got 15 minutes of fame, right? Everybody's, you know, some people get at different stages in their life. My 15 minutes of fame came from this town. Right at birth.
All right.
Right at birth. And when I came in, I haven't been here in decades, and my son Jackson had his camera out, and he's like, isn't there going to be a sign that says Clinton? I want to guess there's going to be a sign, and I'm thinking, I'm going to be on it, right? Jeff Blowak, home of Jeff Blowak. No, there's no Jeff Blowak. But it did say Clinton. He took a picture of it, so I was a little disappointed. So here's why I'm VIP, and my Aunt Jane will verify this for me. So, and my mother, of course. I was the biggest baby born in Clinton, Iowa in 1967. And all my 15 minutes of fame were used up right at birth. And I might still be, Jane, right? No, maybe? We don't know. We can't verify. There was some rumor. There was a 15-pounder at one point. And then I see Noah, and I'm like, so anyway, 24 inches, 12 3/4 pounds. And then my mom tells me the story of she finally got enough energy up, I don't know, after like a day or something, because apparently it took too much out of her. And they brought her to, it's like right out of a movie, they bring her to the little nursery where I'm sitting there with all the other babies. Now, I would like to tell you that I was a very good-looking baby, but I wasn't. I was a monster. So, and I'm sitting there and just, you know, 2 little slits for eyes and blah, 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 and just big mounds of flesh and everything. And my mom says she walks up to the window, and there's this young couple next to her, and they're like, oh, that one's so cute, and then, oh. What? Thank goodness, that's not your child. Right as my mom walks up, and she just starts bawling, you know. And so that was my welcome to the world. And then finally she got, after a couple of days in the hospital, then taken to the car, and the nurse like, you can take this one home and feed him steak and potatoes. And there is my story of my VIP in Clinton, Iowa. I'm back home, and I will be posting a sign of myself. I was the biggest baby born. Thank you.
If you look in Clinton, they have the hometown hero poster. So maybe if we all sponsor a hometown hero for Jeff. I mean, I know it's military, but you know, I don't know. I'm thinking that the biggest baby born in Clinton maybe deserves that. Anybody else?
I think they're gonna wait till tomorrow.
All right, they're waiting for tomorrow. So
I'm sure Kevin's got one.
let's Dan, you got one more?
Oh, sure, kind of something. Anyway, so tomorrow we're going to meet at Eagle Point or here then?
Meet here first.
Meet here at 9 o'clock?
Yeah.
Meet here at 9 o'clock. So, we got a special day here for somebody. So, the ladies are bringing out some cake and ice cream, so don't leave. We've got cake and ice cream, and those who want to stay, we're going to be doing playing some bags and different games here tonight.
Do we get to
too,
see the video tonight, or is that tomorrow night?
The video,
I can put it on. I can start it tonight or whatever you
the
guys.
video is hours and hours and hours long, so.
But I will set it up. If you guys are going to stay, I'll set it up as soon as we're done.
All right, let's hit that light right there, and we need somebody who can help us sing happy birthday to Miss Rachel, who turns how old?
Jackson
19, and we got, well, we're going to do Rachel's birthday tonight.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday.